and welcome back to my channel. I'm really glad you could join me today. If you're new here, I'm Antonia. If you've been here before, then welcome back. If you're here to learn how to pay no tax, then you're in the wrong place. But for everybody else, I'm really excited to be able to show you how to save admin time and get more out of using free agent software in under half an hour. I run our accountancy practice using Free Agent, and I give a lot of free agent training to our new clients who are looking for a simple system to get started with. So I'm really excited to be able to share this with you. We will be able to go through most of Free Agent in under half an hour. And did you know if you have a NatWest or a Metal account, you could actually get the software for free? Yes, that's right. Totally free, no cost. I'm so excited to give you a tool that can help you spend less time on admin and more time in the business, doing what you wanted to do when you first started the business. I want you to take control of Free Agent and feel confident using it. I'm going to be taking you through 5 key areas of Free Agent, which will be the dashboard, the banking tab, the contacts tab, the bills tab, and the work tab. There are lots of other add-ons possible, such as projects and payroll. I'm not going to be covering those today. Today I'm just going to be talking about how you can cover the basics in Free Agent in less than half an hour. So let's get started.
So first up, we're going to look at the Free Agent dashboard. This is your home screen. This is the place where you come to de-stress. This is where you can look at your cash balance at a glance and your profit. You can see the invoice status and also if any are overdue. So at the top right, we have a button here which says Add New. You can use this as a shortcut to create most things that you need in Free Agent, such as invoices and bills that you've received from suppliers, or a mileage claim if you've been traveling with your own personal car. We have an insight here using AI, which looks at all of the data that's held in Free Agent and gives you some highlights. So with this one, it's telling us that we have some top customers. And with that information, we can use that to think about what are we going to offer our top customers? Could we offer them things like benefits or extra support or early access to sale items or bundle discounts, things like that? I've got a good understanding of my cash flow using this. But what I can see using this chart is total cash in and total cash out. Total cash in is in green, and it gives you a figure of how much cash was received if you hover over the green bar, and the red is money that was spent out. So this is picking up data from the bank account. So when you've reconciled a transaction, it'll appear in here. But we'll talk about that in a bit. So obviously what we want to achieve here as a business owner is we want the green bars to be bigger than the red bars. This is just demo data, so it's not quite showing that at the minute, but as a business owner, you can kind of get a month-on-month view of how the business is performing from a cash perspective. At the bottom here, we have a profit and loss snapshot, which I really like because it gives you a really quick view of if you're profitable at the moment without having to go into any accounting reports. You can see from the top bar, you have your total income that you've received, and this will be year to date. So you have a financial year if you're a limited company, minus any expenses, and this includes your direct expenses, which are costs that were needed to generate revenue, and then your administration expenses, which are the ones that are needed to run the business. And what's left is called your operating profit, which is what's left at the end. At the moment, you can see that the business isn't profitable, and that's why it's in red. If you were going to be profitable, it would be highlighted in green. If you were green, you have some corporation tax to pay, and Free Agent would estimate that, which can help with when you're trying to save for tax. And it also includes if you've taken any dividends to date. What you want to make sure of is that you haven't taken more dividends than what's shown in that carried forward distributable figure, which is in the bottom right that's green. The retained profit is what you've got left after you've paid all your taxes, and that can build up throughout the years. Even in this year, it's showing that we aren't profitable. In the past, we have been profitable, and that's why we've still got a green figure here. So this is my demo dashboard. The more data that in the system, the better it gets. And I really like it because it gives the business owner a snapshot of where the business is at without having to check your bank account. As a business owner, this really keeps you in the loop with what's happening, even if you have a bookkeeper. And this dashboard allows you to see and keep up with what's happening in the business very, very quickly, and that's what we need. And so that is the dashboard. The next really important part of free agent, and probably the most checked thing as a business owner, is your bank account. We click this and we'll go straight through to our current account. In free agent, the bank account is connected to what's called a bank feed using open banking, and it automatically pulls through all of your transactions securely and lists them out on your bank statement in a list here. Anything that happens in your bank account automatically pulls through to your accounting system, and that means we don't miss any transactions. If you haven't got your bank feed connected yet, I'm going to post a video on how to do that. But assuming that you have, and there's data that's pulled through into the list, let's carry on. Free agent works in a kind of traffic light system. So you can see at the top here, we have red and we have orange, and then we have some green here. So what that means is red are transactions that have not been explained and free agent doesn't know what they are. Orange transactions are transactions that haven't been explained, but free agent think what it is. And it might have done this through AI. When the transactions pull through, free agent looks at the supplier names, so that's the who, and it tries to see, do we have any data on what these types of who categories have been before? For example, if it's like a petrol garage, like a Shell garage, then it might suggest that it's going to be motor expenses. Or if it's Greg's, for example, it might suggest that it's going to be accommodation and meals. When you have a green transaction, that means that the transaction is reconciled. You don't have to do anything else with it because you've explained it. What you need to do on a monthly basis is you need to make sure all of these transactions are explained. And to do that, you click on a transaction and it gives you some options here. So we have the type, and you have to select, is it a payment? Because have you paid for something directly? Is it a bill? So did you have a supplier bill? And that means you're going to link the payment to a supplier bill that you've already put in. Was it paid to a user? So did you take money out of the bank account and pay it to the director? And some other options here, like did you buy any capital assets or any other types of money out? This is a payment to the director. So we're going to set this as a money paid to a user. Our director is called Bob Logs. And then we're going to select why he was paid that money. And he was paid that for a dividend. We can put some extra information in here. We click explain and it goes green. We don't have to worry about it again. Okay, so we have money in and we have money out. So money out are all going to be payments, and money in is likely going to be sales or refunds. So Google, we don't sell to Google, but we know we might have spent some money on Google software or advertising. So we're going to say that that's a refund. We select what category it is. Now you can select the category just by scrolling through this list. And the good thing about free agent is it makes the language really easy to understand. So you can pick out what Google is likely to be, and it's likely to be either some web hosting or some advertising. And I think we're going to go with advertising because we're the kind of business that likes to spend a lot on Google Ads. So we explain that in there. Then we have a J. Paul. Now this looks like an individual, so they might have bought something directly off us. We might not necessarily have a sales invoice for it. If we don't have a sales invoice for it, we can record it as a sale. We have categories of sales here, which you can fully customize in the settings to make it how your business runs and what kind of things that you sell. And then we have a description to help us identify and record who this sale was from. We have other types of customers that we might have received money from, such as this one. This is a regular customer. We've sent out sales invoices for them, and we're waiting for the invoice to be paid. So this is the invoice being paid. So it's selected as invoice receipt. Automatically, it's matched the name, so the who, and it's linked it to MadStacks to MadStacks. So we don't need to do anything with that. We can see that MadStacks is the customer. MadStacks is where I received the money from. £604 is expected. £604 is received. So we press explain, and then we're done. Final one, we went out for a drink to have a meeting with someone. So we're going to mark this one as accommodation and meals and explain that. So that's basically when you do the bank reconciliation and you do transaction by transaction. So that might be great if you do it every month, you keep on top of it, you don't have many to do. However, not everybody is super organized and sometimes things get away from us a little bit. So you can select here all the time periods if you need to go back and reconcile anything. You can see here that we have 136 transactions unexplained, and we do need to reconcile those so that the system can see what's going on. So what we can do is select all time periods, select unexplained, and this is going to give us a massive list of transactions that need to be explained. So what we can do is we can see there's lots of LinkedIn payments here. So if we type in LinkedIn, that lists them all out. We click one, we click them all. We say that's sales because it's money in. And we explain 22 transaction in one, saving you loads of time. So then we can clear that. We can look at what else have we bought. So we have some Amazon. So Amazon, we know that we always buy our office furniture and costs like stationery and wires and charging cables, tripods, those kind of things. We always get that off Amazon. So a good practice is if we've made a payment to Amazon, to stop you getting questions from your accountant in the future, is to download the order in the PDF or the email and then upload it here. And that means that when you have to review it, we can say what's gone on, and we don't have to ask you a question and be like, what did you spend on Amazon? Was it personal? Did it have that on it? Because we can just look at the attachment and see what's on it. It also helps if you put a description in. So Amazon desk, explain the transaction. Oh, you need to put that as office costs. So if you make a mistake like me, you can just go back, open it again, and save changes really quick. Okay, what else do we have? So if we have Hiscox, now that's going to be insurance. So insurance is different for the VAT, and what Free Agent does is it splits up the categories into the different VAT categories. So we don't have to worry about that. We select insurance and put it there. Over time, as you go through the bank account and you start explaining more and more data, more red will turn orange, and then that will save you more and more time as you go. So this isn't pulling up anything at the moment because it's still got this in the search button. So we just clear that, and now it starts to give us all the orange ones. So this has picked up what we've entered before and where we've put it before. So we check the list, make sure we're happy with all that. We select one, we select them all, and then we approve the 16. That's how we do a bank reconciliation. It's a really important part of our dashboard. And so, as a business owner, it's really important to keep your bank data up to date as possible so that your dashboard shows accurate information that you can use throughout the year. Now, I'm just going to move over to the work tab, and we do this from the blue bar at the top. So, just quickly, the blue bar is at the top of every free agent screen, and it's how you get to any areas of free agent. If you can't find anything as well, you can use the search here. And you also get notifications here around things that you need to do. I'm going to go to the work section, and the work is where you will do all of your sales invoices from, which if you're a new business owner, this is like the most exciting bit because obviously like you've thought about this idea, you've started making stuff, you're ready to sell your first thing. And you're like, okay, let's make some money. This is where we go. So what we have at the minute is this business has been good for a while. So we have some invoices in here that we've already done. But say this is your first invoice and you want to create a new invoice, then you're going to go to the top right here and you're going to click add new invoice. For an invoice, you have to say who it's going to be going to. And as you go through and you get regular customers and you add more data in, you'll have contacts that are already stored in the system. So we have some contacts already stored in here. So if it's a repeat customer, you can select them here. Or if it's a new customer, you can add them on the fly as you go through creating the invoice. So we're going to create a new organization that we're serving. And the invoice references, if you just leave them alone, they'll just do this thing called global sequence, and it just means that they'll go one after each other all the way through, and it means that you don't miss any out. So if you don't want it to start on invoice 001, so you want to make yourself look a little bit older than you are for how long you've been trading, you can change that as well and start it off at like invoice 2052 or something, and then it will increment from there. So you have an invoice date here, which is going to be the day that you raise the invoice that's relevant to the work that you've done. So that's today's date. You type in how many payment days you want it to be to. You can set it to 0 if it's due on receipt, or you could have 7 days, 30 days, it's up to you. This text goes on the bottom of your invoices. So if you wanted to put a specific text in here around like how to pay, what your bank details are, those kind of things, if you get a 10% discount for paying early, those kind of things, you can add that here. This is a key payment area. So one of the key things around small businesses is it's hard to get paid sometimes. And the easier you make it for people to pay you, the better. So if you use something like Stripe so that people can pay using a card when they receive that invoice, instead of having to make a bank transfer, then that might mean that the risk of that customer not paying decreases a little bit. So it's good if you can offer those kind of services. Particularly if you're in retail as well, if you could do the PayPal one, then you can offer pay in three, things like that. That's quite popular at the minute. So then that makes you a bit more strong in the market because you're offering those different types of payments. If you can offer subscriptions, and that's a really good way of like cash flow. So if, for example, you said if you're gonna have, I don't know, 12 monthly payments to pay for a big purchase at the end, you could set up a direct debit relationship and a recurring invoice relationship with a customer. And you would do that using Go Cardless. So you'd have to set these up here and set up your own account for the business, but these are all possible using the free agent workflow for sales. The next thing is emails. So you can set up free agent to be connected to your email address. So when you want to send it from free agent, you can send it directly from the software. You don't have to like download it as a PDF, upload it to an email, send it out that way. And that just keeps things moving a little bit slicker. You can also automate some reminders. So if the invoice goes out and it's not paid within the payment terms, then you can get a payment reminder that goes out. And the same is once you've had a payment received, you can send a thank you out, which sometimes builds customer relationships as well. You can add references in. So if it's a big job and you've had a purchase order for it, you can put the reference in here and that can make getting paid easier again. So it's important to put that in. And then effectively, we're just going to create the invoice here. Now this is creating like the invoice shell. So you don't have to worry that we haven't put any items in yet. So we click that. And then we get a preview of how the invoice is going to look. So you can add an invoice item here. You can say one of different types of units. So if we go one service, we go one consultancy day, £500. Okay. Again, you can allocate this to a different type of income category depending on how your business runs. Now, if we were going to sell a consultancy day to other customers and it's something that we regularly do, you might want to select add this to your price list. And this means that if you add that to your price list, it'll appear here, which means you don't have to type this out every time. You can just select it here, and then it makes creating invoices even quicker. So once we've added the line item to the invoice, you can see that we've pulled through the payment details based on the bank account that we've got set up with Free Agent. We've got our company number based on the settings that we've entered in a Free Agent. We have our address. We don't have any data in for the client because we just quickly put in a company name. What we could do is obviously enhance the data around that contact and then that would show up here. We could also in the settings add our logo so that the invoice looks like it's coming from us. If you wanted to set up that Stripe button so someone could pay via a card, then you would click that here, set the online payments up, and then you can add a payment button down here. So when the invoice goes out, you can select pay now and then you pay it. A good thing to do is save this as a PDF, send it as an email, send it to yourself, and just try it out. See how it looks when you get it. Make sure that you're happy with the customer journey. If you send it by email, you can also say different text in here. and that as well as part of the customer journey. And that means that you can make that as slick as you want to make it. You know, you can go as high as like an Apple iPhone buying experience if you want to, but see how you get on. If you wanted to create an estimate, so say you're a tradesman and you're not quite into the invoice getting started up with the work yet, but someone asks you for a quote, then you can add a new estimate here. It looks similar to the invoice screen, so you just click add new estimate, you select the contact, you put a reference in, you say the date, and then you could put something in the additional text to say, you know, like estimate is only valid for 7 days from the, you know, estimate date or something like that. Or if you sign up within so many days, you get X benefit. So you want to create the estimate. It's very much like the invoice, same screen, say what you're selling. So we're going to do one service, 1 day, 500, and finish. And then you can send that via email to the person who's interested in the work. So that is kind of how to run your sales function from Free Agent. You can easily customize your estimates and invoices to your brand and logo so that your sales feel like they're coming from you. You can save time by building price lists for regular sales. You can automate email reminders and thank yous while using templates to save time when creating them. You can also make subscriptions easy by collecting recurring invoices through Go Cardless, and you can get paid faster by by setting up Stripe card payments. Next, I'm just going to show you how to process bills that you receive and then you need to pay. If you receive a purchase invoice from something that you've bought, so let's say if we're a tradesman, we went to Juicing and we bought some bricks. We can add the bill here. You need a contact like you do for the sales invoice. So we're going to say Juicing. We don't have that, so we're going to add a new contact. The bill date was today. It's due in 30 days. The category is the same as what we used in the bank screen. So we're going to say, because you need to build bricks to build what you're going to build and sell, the direct cost. So we go down to the cost of sales section. We select that as materials. I have £300 of bricks. Save and review. We reference, which will be on the Juicens invoice that we got. So it's going to be invoice 2911. And then what you need to do, if you've got it, to save your questions again, is add your attachment here for the bill that you've been given, and then that stops your accountant later in the year saying, what was that payment for? Who is that contact? You know, have you got any evidence for this? And also, God forbid, if you were to get an HMRC inquiry in the future and you needed to evidence some of the expenses that they asked for, all the information's in the system and you don't have to worry about collecting it all at that point. So once we do that, we saved it, the bill is in the system and Free Agent is expecting it to be paid. It's added the expense to the system, it knows you've suffered that expense. And what's going to happen is, as you make that payment from the bank account, Free Agent will jump in and say, this looks like a bill payment, and then you link them up together. And then that reconciles that process. So far, we've covered your dashboard, how to see the business performance in a snapshot. We've covered the bank and how to do a bank reconciliation, and we've covered how to raise a sales invoice and send it to a customer, and record a bill received from a supplier. I'm now going to run you through some reports from Free Agent so you can see how your business is performing. Before I do, let's just cover off something so important, which is the data. Free Agent can only pull through data to the report that it knows. So that's the who it is, what it was for, why do we buy that, and we did that during the bank reconciliation. If you don't keep on top of explaining the transactions, then the data in the report is going to be no good. So if you want to be able to do monthly reviews to check on the business health, then it's really important to keep up to date on the bank reconciliations. So your process at the end of the month looks like do the bank rec first and then the report second. Sorry, I just wanted to highlight that because it's so important. Okay, so first off, let's go into the profit and loss. This gives you a snapshot of the turnover, the direct costs, and the admin expenses for a fixed period. So at the minute, we're set to a year. It's fully customizable, but I'm not going to dive into that today. So you have your turnover, which is all your income, less your cost of sales, which is things that you needed to buy to generate the income. And then you have your admin expenses, which is things you needed to spend money on to run the business. So when you have your turnover less your direct costs, that equals your gross profit here. Then when you take all your admin expenses off, then you have your operating profit here. Your operating profit is the one that you're going to be taxed on. So that's why we have estimated corporation tax below. If you want to get into good habits with trying to save for tax, then this is the place that you can look to start thinking about how much you need to be saving. Okay, the next best place is the balance sheet. And the balance sheet is something that tracks with the business for its whole life. It's kind of like the heartbeat of the business, and it tracks your assets and liabilities. So we have assets here like computers, fixtures and fittings, machinery that lasts longer than a year. And then we have current assets, which are things like your cash in your business, things that are easy to access, trade debtors, which are people that owe you money. And then you have your liabilities, so things that you need to pay out, which could include like long-term loans, tax that you need to pay, and then effectively at the bottom you have your net current assets and your retained profit. Your retained profit is what you can distribute, and that means you can take money out as dividends or you can reinvest it into the business. So as a business owner, it's important to keep an eye on this figure. Also, watch out for a director's loan coming in either of these. And a director's loan I'll do a video about, but if it ends up in the assets, then that's a red flag and you need to keep an eye on it.
So that's free agent in under 30 minutes. What I've done is log into this dashboard and saw a snapshot. I've done some reconciliations in the bank, issued some invoices for work done this week, and added a bill for something that I bought. Then I checked some reports. It's a really useful tool for small businesses to manage their finances and records to stay organized and gain key business insights. Regularly organizing your records monthly in a system like Free Agent can really make a difference to how much time you spend on trying to work things out and how much you worry about what you can't see. I wanted to say thanks for watching today. Let me know in the comments how you got on and if you have any questions. If you'd like to receive some Free Agent training from me, then would like to become a client, use the links in the description below and you can book a meeting with me. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more tips and learning for small business owners, and I hope to see you again soon.